I'm a sucker for love, but why do most loving relationships come to an end? Relationships can fall apart and break, that's the reality of life. Not everything is meant to last forever, even love. Thankfully, not all relationships are doomed for failure. Apart from allowing or excusing abusive behaviors, if you want a relationship to succeed, you should always find the heart to forgive and overlook the flaws of your partner, and learn to work as a couple and overcome any hurdles, if you want the love to last. A relationship doesn't just fail because it's meant to be that way. It fails when one or both parties stop putting in the work to make it work. To help you and your partner on your path to everlasting love and happiness, we've gathered the main reasons couples break up, so that you can keep them in mind and work through them on your own relationship. With this being said, let's take a look at all the reasons why relationships fail in real life. 1. Relying on your partner for happiness. This is common among people who have either low self-esteem or have very few good things going on in their life. A relationship contributes to your happiness, but it can't be your entire happiness. The problem with this is that it may put too much pressure on your partner. It shouldn't be their responsibility to make you happy all the time. 2. Not standing up for yourself. Not standing up for yourself is what causes resentment and anger in relationships. Even when it's the easiest thing to give in to what your partner wants, you need to stand up for yourself. Your partner isn't going to love you less just because you stood up for yourself. If they do, then they are not worth it. 3. Too much dominance. The opposite of not standing up for yourself is being too dominant in a relationship. No, dominance doesn't automatically refer to men. There are so many women that are even more dominant and controlling than men, which can cause breakups. Don't yell, nag, bicker, or do anything along these lines to your partner. A relationship should be about partnership, not dominance. 4. There's too much jealousy going on. Jealousy is never a good look on anyone, and yet, it's a common reason why relationships fail. Trust is the foundation of any relationship, so you can't let your jealousy consume you to the point that it's destroying your relationship. Learn to have faith in them, unless you have evidence to believe otherwise. 5. Selfishness. Okay, you shouldn't even be shocked that selfishness is on this list. You can't always get what you want, and neither can your partner. Both of you need to learn to compromise for one another's needs. Selfishness is one of the most common reasons why relationships fail. You need to learn to compromise and find the middle ground of what both of you want. 6. Nitpicking each other's flaws. Everyone has flaws and imperfections, and that's okay. We don't always accept our partner's flaws, but that doesn't mean you should put them down every chance you get. Relationships are also about support and encouragement, so you can't keep breaking them apart like that. Not only will you slowly pick at their self-esteem, but you might also push them towards the arms of someone who's much more accepting of their faults. 7. Lack of time. Quality time is such an important love language. It's amusing how people still fail to realize this by now. Failing to spend time with your partner is a core reason why relationships fail. Even if you both have a busy lifestyle, you still need to set aside time for each other, just to keep the relationship going. If you don't spare even a few minutes for your partner, neglect starts, and that will definitely eat away at your relationship. 8. Lack of effort. While effort isn't the basis of a relationship, it's how you show someone how much you love them. Without effort, how else are they supposed to feel they matter? We're not talking about some grand gesture, we're talking actual effort in a relationship, like sacrificing your time for them, or visiting them after work. Doing a little something extra, from time to time, shows your partner that you would still go the extra mile no matter how long you've been dating. 9. Physical distance. Not all couples are destined to make it through long-distance relationships. If you haven't experienced this, it's one of the worst things you can experience. Even if you communicate every day, it's still a different feeling from seeing them and being with them physically. Unless you make an effort so you can finally be in the same zip code, these relationships usually break under the strain. 10. Emotional distance. When you're emotionally incompatible, i.e., one of you is more open while the other is withdrawn, this can lead to a lot of unmet emotional needs. Having that wall and emotional distance is why relationships fail. No matter what you do, they seem far away and you don't know how to fix it. There's a difference between someone just going through something, like grief or loss, and someone who's naturally distant and unattached. 11. Little lies that build up. While white lies are common at the start of a relationship, especially when putting your best foot forward, it's important to be as honest and authentic as possible in a relationship. Eventually, they are going to find out the truth anyway. When these lies build up, they might spiral into a web of lies that you can no longer get out of. 12. Different goals. You need someone who has the same goals that you do. While you don't necessarily need to be in the same career field, you need to have a similar vision for your future. Maybe one of you wants kids, and the other doesn't. This is a major problem in your relationship. If left without compromise, the rift in your desires may end up causing a rift between the two of you. 13. Emotional baggage. It goes without saying that baggage will always affect your relationship. We all have our trauma and past baggage, but you can't let that get in the way of your relationship. Unless you learn to deal with it healthily, it will manifest itself in your relationship from time to time, and can easily lead to strain in your relationship, or even to a breakup. 14. Lack of empathy. This might go hand in hand with selfishness, but you need empathy to make a relationship work. It's one of the ways to validate your partner's feelings and show them that you care about them. Without empathy, it's easy to assume the person is cold-hearted and incapable of love. Empathy makes you feel heard, understood, and most importantly, loved. You can't make a relationship last without this. 15. Opposing morals and values. Everyone has a different set of beliefs. Your relationship isn't going to last the way you expect it to when you have opposing values. We know they say that opposites attract, but this doesn't apply to your morals and values because they make you who you are, so you need someone who shares most of the same beliefs you do. Otherwise, you'll always end up clashing, and values are the one thing you should never compromise for anyone. 16. Lack of compatibility. Compatibility isn't something you can build, you either have it or you don't. You can't work on compatibility, as some couples take years, and even decades, to figure out they never had compatibility in the first place. This isn't about sharing the same interests, but about sharing a similar energy and mindset. 17. Financial problems. Finances are a much more common conflict than you realize in relationships. When you struggle with financial problems that never get resolved, this will end in a breakup. It's not necessarily a debt issue, but also more along the lines of who spends more and who earns more. 18. Different sex drives. Sexual compatibility is a real thing, and the lack of it is another common reason why relationships fail. When you're not sexually compatible with your partner, this can result in never being satisfied in any physical engagement. What's worse is that you're so incompatible sexually that you refuse to do it altogether. Sex is essential in any relationship, and without it, a relationship can easily fall apart. 19. Toxic relationships. By definition, A toxic relationship isn't just a physically abusive one. It also refers to manipulation, gaslighting, or any form of mental or emotional abuse. If by any way they manipulate you into doing what you never wanted to do, that's already abuse. Unfortunately, toxic relationships happen more commonly than you think. 20. Lack of commitment. It's possible for people to get into relationships just because they don't want to be alone, or they want someone to constantly talk to. However, these aren't adequate reasons for getting into a relationship. You should always date someone because you're ready to find someone to complement your life, and because you care about them. 21. Anger issues. Anger issues are a real component of why relationships fail. This is also another one of the underrated aspects that lead to a relationship falling apart. When your way of expressing anger isn't similar to your partner's, you'll always clash. 22. Apathy. Lastly, apathy is the final straw that destroys relationships altogether. It comes from resentment, neglect, selfishness, and a whole lot of other factors mentioned above. When the relationship is beyond repair that you just feel numb, that's when it's already over. In conclusion, there are many reasons why relationships can fail. Some common ones include a lack of communication, lack of trust, infidelity, and a lack of effort from one or both partners. Other factors that can contribute to the breakdown of a relationship include conflicting values, differing life goals, and incompatible personalities. Ultimately, a relationship doesn't just fail overnight without any concrete warning. It starts with a simple fight or misunderstanding, and it leads to neglect. Without you knowing, they are already halfway out the door.